are watching on demand. Please do not try to vote or enter any competition or other interactivity in this programme, as it may not count and you may still be charged.
Hello and welcome to your midweek helping of Loose Women. Joining me, Christine Lampard, this Wednesday lunchtime are Linda Robson, Janet Street Porter and Jane Moore. Coming up, are women better at coping with breakups? One male journalist thinks so, but do we agree? And could shacking up with your best friend solve all your love dilemmas? We'll be tackling all sorts of relationship riddles a bit later on. And at 1 o'clock...
Good afternoon. Otis and Toby are back in the house.
That's right.
And we are rocking, aren't we?
Rocking always.
I hope it's nice where you are, because this is why I'm showing my horrible legs.
Oh, they're disgusting, put them away.
I remember that. He first hit our screens 30 years ago in the CBBC broom cupboard, and today presenter Toby Anstis joins us to share his story of being adopted along with his twin sister and the lasting effects it's had on his life. Also today, would you get flush with your family in this 4-loo bathroom? Or would that send things down the pan? No, we haven't gone totally potty. We will actually be debating that at about 1:20. 4 toilets. Anyway, on to something more serious, and of course it's the day's big news and the continuing Partygate scandal surrounding Prime Minister Boris Johnson. He's just spoken at Prime Minister's Questions where he said yet again he couldn't comment as he's awaiting Sue Gray's report.
Oh, God, come on, Sue, hurry up, we're all waiting. Come on, pull your finger out, love.
There is a sense of that, isn't there? I mean, there was nothing unexpected today because we knew he would say, I can't say anything.
Yeah, I think on the news last night, they were anticipating that the report might be delivered to Downing Street later on today. And I think that we're expecting, if that happens, that we'll find out about it tomorrow. But at Prime Minister's Questions, it was more of the same. He was ebullient, you know, he was combative, he's very aggressive. Boris, that's the character that Boris wants to put forward today, to shout out about how we're the fastest growing economy in the G7 and all of that. He wants to gloss over any bad news, like all the money, all the millions that's been defrauded from, you know, the COVID, during COVID, by the suppliers of protective equipment. And that which led one of his peers to resign in the House of Lords this week. Well, he doesn't want to talk about that, does he? But don't you get the feeling that Keir Starmer is not really getting anywhere, that we're in a loop going on? I just think that they're not going to answer anything until... And now I don't think, because there's a police investigation, I don't think they're actually going to answer much about Sue Gray's report either, because what they'll do is it's very convenient to just keep kicking it into the long grass, like politicians do. And they'll say, you know, even when the report comes out, they'll say, oh, well, we can't talk about that because there's an ongoing police investigation. And they'll just keep trying to buy time. So we need to just know that and park it, because I'm getting to the point now, I'm like, how many more times can we talk about this birthday cake? Jane, you're right, but the public, when you... on all the news bulletins, when they talk to people in the street, they are still very angry about it.
Yeah, they are, but they're not going to get an answer. So it's like, you know, we've got the Ukraine issue, we've got the thing that you're talking about there, the fact that 4.2 billion furlough fraud has been always going to be written off. We've got the national insurance hike that's impending. All of these things are the business of everyday government, and they're not getting on with it because they're obsessing about something where they're not going to get an answer. Now, I'm all for when there is a proper report in front of them, you nail them to the wall on it. But until that time, they're not going to answer the questions. So let's just get on with the business of running the country.
But I do think that the Daily Mail did a whole page today saying, you know, enough of this, let's move on, you know, some of what Jane's just said. But I do think that for many people, what has happened in the last 18 months has changed their lives forever. And they're not going to forgive Boris Johnson easily. And what he's hoping is to kick it into the long grass, to bring forward Liz Truss, to harp on about how aggressive we're going to be about the potential Russian invasion of Ukraine. But for most people in the street, that's not the thing that's
Listen, I'm no fan of Boris, but I would also say to those people, look at the fact that we have got a world-beating vaccine programme.
You know, I don't know. I mean, I just think it's... I just think a lot of it's pathetic.
So if you're watching, hurry up, love, hurry up. We're all waiting.
They do need to answer those questions, but quite clearly they're not going to answer them
But if he gets £100 fine, you know, if the police conclude their investigation and they dish out fines of 100 quid to all those people, that's not going to wash it.
But if the Prime Minister gets a fine, that means that he has done something in breach of his own rules, and it means that he's broken the ministerial code and he will have to resign. So that has greater implications for him, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It will be today, though, we think.
Yeah, and all the photographs of all the parties will trickle out onto websites over the coming days.
OK, yeah. We'll undoubtedly be talking tomorrow about it again, won't we? So new legislation has been proposed in Spain, ensuring customers have a legal right to speak to a human being rather than a robot or a chatbot in customer service calls. Should we be the same over here? It almost sounds so simple, doesn't it? Let's start to talk to people again. I had this very instance yesterday. I was trying to park the car. I had my little girl in the back. And of course, I had to phone one of those automated services, and you have to put your bank card in, you have to put the location number. It must have taken me 20 minutes. And by the end of it, my little girl was like, "Mummy, please tell that woman to shut up." And she got almost scared of her because she kept coming back and asking the same questions. And then the more she was talking to me, I couldn't hear what she was asking me. And the whole thing was a disaster of 20 minutes trying to park my car to go and buy
And then you have to press a button, and then you press the wrong button, and then you have to go back to the beginning again.
Exactly. If only you could just speak to someone, or the process was more simple. But I just love the idea of being able to chat to someone where things get sorted quickly. Because then if you get onto any of these kind of holding services, you're either being held for goodness knows how long.
And they have the most annoying voices and the most annoying music, don't they?
Yes, they do, actually. The music is another issue as well.
When you're trying to sort something online and then suddenly at the side there's this, "Hello, can I help you?" pops up.
Yes.
With a photo of someone who quite clearly isn't, you know, anything to do with that chatbot scenario.
Yeah.
And then you enter into this and then you start... if you put anything in that's slightly problematic...
It goes back.
You suddenly realise it's a chatbot because it then goes, "Oh, could you ring this number?" Because it can't deal.
And then you're back to the
"Are you in the UK? Where are you?" That always completely confuses them. I mean, yesterday I was interested in getting a facial, so I rang a number that I thought was a person. But after a while, I thought, this person's replies are so robotic. They kept saying, "Thank you for asking that." I mean, but what normal person keeps
hang on. So
"Thank you for asking that"?
We're actually changing our real people that are answering the phone into robots. Is that now what's happening?
Well, that's what my worry is, that people have been told as part of customer service sound more like a chatbot and be so pleasant, it's completely freaky.
I think they have a script, and if you go off their script, they don't know what to say because they have just these certain lines what they have to say. And if you go off of them, then they're lost.
How do you find out if it's a chatbot or a person?
I don't even know what a chatbot is.
Well, they're the robots.
Oh, are they?
I've
rung loads of times trying to get through to insurance companies or whatever, and they keep hanging on the phone for ages, and I leave it on loudspeaker, and I'll do my hoovering, and I'll go back, "No, I'm number 53 now, I better do a bit of hoovering. Oh, 34 now, I can't be long now." So by the time I get there, I've done the whole house.
We're all joking about it, but if you think about it, there's a certain elderly generation, most of whom are just becoming increasingly kind of cut off from any human contact. And I mean, how they manage to navigate the kind of complexities of trying to speak to a human being is beyond me. And so this, it's called a customer attention bill, and they're proposing it in Spain. The legislation will give consumers a legal right to speak to a human rather than a robot.
I think that's brilliant.
That would be great. But, I mean, we sort of joke about it, but I had this situation. So Gary broke his leg a couple of weekends ago. It was like 2 in the morning, and I rang up for an ambulance. He was in absolute agony. It was the top of the house. I couldn't move him off the floor at all because he was just in such pain. Rang an ambulance, and they went through all the questions, spoke to a human being, obviously, went through all the questions, and then she said, "We don't consider this an emergency. You have to ring 111, and they will assess the situation." And I said, "Well, I can assess the situation, you know." Anyway, I ring 111. I get an answer. I get a recorded message saying, "We're very busy. Could you fill out a thing online?" So at 2 in the morning, I'm there on the laptop, filling out a questionnaire online while Gary's lying on the floor, literally in agony. And then I filled it all out, and then the conclusion was, call an ambulance.
Oh, yeah.
And you just sort of get to this point where you just think, is this what... You know, I know that the ambulance service are up to their eyes and they're busy, but it was just like...
But that's a moment of absolute panic, isn't it? Where you need the clarity of mind to be able to figure that out.
The hard thing for me is not losing my temper. Being, like Linda says, number 43 in the queue. When I was trying to get my passport renewed and I wanted to know where my passport application was, I held onto that phone and I had to talk myself down, so that when I finally got through to someone, I could speak normally and not be completely screaming mad. And then when you actually get a real person, you go, give me your name! You're clutching at straws! Tell me where you are!
If you ever go at them, they put the phone down on you after like half an hour.
You're like, start again!
I must say, I've got this item in my kitchen, that I bought from this little company, and it went wrong the other day, and I rang, and this woman answered the phone straight away and said hello, and I went, oh my God, is that
that a person?
And then she taught me through, and then she went, oh no, it sounds like it needs fixing. Can we send someone on Tuesday? And I was literally like, this is how it used to be. It was just balm to the soul.
Exactly. We've got something for you, Janet. This will make you feel good.
What?
Your call and your time are very important to us. Please be assured that we are working as fast as possible to speak with you.
That's the most annoying thing in
and
the
always
world.
remember, you're very important to them.
Yeah.
Very important.
Answer the phone then.
Lots more still to come on today's show, including the dream plans that Janet and Jane have for moving in with their friends in later life. Funny enough, not with each other, with other people. And they say nothing hurts as bad as a breakup. But are women really better at coping with heartache than men? We've had our fair share of it on this panel. Find out what we think right after this.
It's a heartache, nothing but a heartache.
Hello again, welcome back. We're nailing our colours to the mast at 1:15 and showing we really know our onions when it comes to all sorts of fabulous phrases, unless Linda drops a clanger. I mean, it's possible.
No, I'm going to behave today.
There are loads of people who haven't got a clue what we're talking about, and you're not
Including
alone.
us.
Yeah. Because according to a new survey showing certain sayings have gone out of fashion. So all will become clear a little bit later on. There's so many from your youth as well when you start talking about it. So anyway, that's coming up. And CBBC's broom cupboard star turned radio presenter Toby Anstis will be here with us in about 15 minutes, sharing how being adopted has shaped his life. Competition time now, though, and there is £96,000 up for grabs. Lines close. Oh, there's excitement. Lines close this Friday. Here's Shan Welby with all the details.
There's an incredible £96,000 in cash to be won, and it could be yours. Imagine what you could spend that on.
I won £95,000. I entered online. When I got the winning call, I was at work. So all my work friends knew before my husband. The whole place was just screaming. As soon as we got the money, we gave our children some money. But we're planning a holiday. We can do these things and not worry about where the money's coming from.
But remember, lines close on Friday. For another chance to win £96,000 in cash, text WIN to 86060. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Go to the website, entries cost £2. Call 09068 786060. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and phone number to DY50 PO Box 7558 Derby DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday the 28th of January at 3 p.m. Good luck.
Good luck. Now, there's a story in the paper today saying women cope better with divorce than men. It goes against the stereotypical rom-com image of a woman being the broken-hearted one after a breakup. So is there any truth of it? Do you think we can just pull ourselves together a bit quicker? Janet, what do you think?
Why are you asking me first?
Well, I just thought, you've got experience,
I think that I'm not just talking about myself, but I think in general women do cope better, and that might be because we're better at multitasking full stop. So if your marriage has hit the buffers, and let's be honest, 42% of marriages do. So we're working towards half of all marriages, that's way over a third, ending in divorce in this country. And the average age is for men about 46 and for women about 43, 44. So these are people in their 40s getting divorced. Now, by then, women have gone through jobs, kids, they've put up with this bloke. They're going to, you know, if women decide to move on, they're going to shrink it down to something else to deal with. It's not going to be easy, it's not going to be nice, but they'll just cope with it. Whereas in my experience, men, it represents, for a lot of men, contrary to what you might expect, men can't cope. They really can't cope. They feel that lonely, they feel they don't have a big circle of friends. They're not good at coping with their new status or, you know, situation. And a lot of that article in the Mail, I recognised a lot of the things in it.
And I think that friendship group thing's quite crucial because I think maybe as we get older, a lot of women tend to keep a bigger circle of friends around them. I think
and
that's
we talk to our friends.
And yes, maybe that's
we
it.
Communicate.
We open up a bit more,
even though we might not see all our friends, and goodness knows, over the last, since COVID arrived, we've not been able to see friends and our friendships have suffered, but we have stayed in touch on Zoom or, you know, by telephone, and we've tried to maintain contact with our friends. Whereas men are really poor at that. And even their really, really close friends from when they were at college or when they were at school, they don't stay in touch with them. Or they adopt this strange, what I call jokey persona. That's not what they're really like, but they have another person they become when they're talking to their mates. So when a big personal problem erupts in their life, like their marriage has hit the buffers, they don't know how to talk to anyone, do they?
No, I mean, I think I agree with everything Janet said, really. And I think in my friendship group, what happens is, particularly, it's a sweeping generalisation, obviously, and not everybody fits into this pattern, but middle-aged men in general, their world tends to get smaller. So particularly when they've been in a very busy career, but that's been the framework of their life, and a lot of their social life is related to that. So somebody might go, let's go down to the pub after work, or football or whatever. And then the minute that they're not working as much, then suddenly they don't make the effort. They haven't got friendship groups. So as women, we've always had a lot going on. And we continue to have a lot going on. So if then suddenly we're not in the relationship, we've still got all that stuff going on. And it's almost like the rug gets pulled out very gently for us, whereas with a man, it's a bit like a complete shock.
I mean, I'm being clear about this. I'm not demonising men. I'm not saying they're, like, lacking in something and women are better at everything in life. What I'm saying is that somehow the way that women lead their lives prepares them better for divorce. It does prepare us better for relationships ending, and we might be hurt, we might be really upset, but we've got the ability to move on and find support from our friends, male and female. But I just think that men, modern men, they put too much into work and their lives revolve around work. And since COVID arrived, a lot of businesses have gone bust. That's a huge number of small businesses have gone bust. And those men are sitting at home and they can't easily get back into the workplace.
It's become very isolating.
I think that's true, because I found it really challenging, like with me and Mark during lockdown, because the kids have moved out, so there's only us two there now, so it's been really hard. And I do think that if we were to get divorced, he'd struggle more than I would, because, as we said, he's got 2 or 3 friends that he's really close to. He goes to the gym, he doesn't really go to the pub or anything, but I've got loads of friends, and my sisters, and, like, the kids and everything, so I think he'd definitely find it much harder than I would.
It's when actually sport, you talk about football, sport can be actually a very good thing in that respect. If you've got a group of friends or even one friend that you support something together, it is a way of getting out again, isn't it, potentially, and having an interest.
Well, one of my old boyfriends rang me up a couple of months ago because he was so lonely, and I was astonished. And it was, you know, I went out with him for a long time and we've remained very good friends. But his call came out of the blue, and it was simply because one of his closest friends had died. And it was, he had expected it because the guy had cancer, but when he died, my ex-boyfriend was distraught because he felt like his world had shrunk even smaller, even though he's got a wife and they get on very well. But he's got this sense of anxiety about his life shrinking down, and I think that's a real problem for a lot of men.
But how good that he reached out to you, though.
Yeah, and I just had a little chat, you know.
Yeah, well, very good. Well, there could be something that could solve all of these problems. It's a new relationship philosophy that sees best friends share everything a normal couple would without the complications of any kind of romance or sex getting in the way. It's called a platonic life partner. What do you think? Are you going to ditch Gary for a platonic life partner? Would that just be easier right now, Jane?
Well, he's not going anywhere right now. He's at home with his leg in plaster.
He needs you more than ever.
Yeah. But it's funny, actually, me and my friends, we talk about this all the time and have done for a very long time. I've always had in my head that I will see out my days, you know, when either Gary's gone under a bus or been pushed.
You heard that on live on television,
Yeah.
Gary.
I will see out
clearly
my days
joking.
I envisage like a nice, sort of slightly run-down, stately home that me and my friends, quite a lot of us, buy. I know we've all got a bit of a role that we bring to the party, but so you've got your own space, you've got your own room, and probably I'd have to have my own bathroom as well. But then you've got it'd be like a really posh old people's
Could you talk us
home.
through our roles?
Well, my role would definitely be organisation. So I'm very happy doing all the paperwork, like paying the bills and
booking our holidays,
running the diary of the house, and who's doing what, where, whatever. That's totally up my street. Holidays.
Janet's role?
Janet, I'd put in charge of works of art on the wall. I think she's got a really good taste.
And cooking.
I think she'd make the place look lovely. And then she'd be in charge of activities like hiking and gardening and tomato growing. You like that, don't you?
Have a fight with Brenda over that.
Obviously cleaning, because it's what you live for.
Yeah. And I would be like downstairs and you lot would be upstairs and I'll be going, morning, Miss Janet, what would you like for breakfast today?
What I'd like is no chat from you, Linda, first thing in the morning. What I want is a butler.
What I'd like is you not to live there.
I have the same dream as Jane, which is I'd like to buy a department store like Peter Jones that's right in the middle of town, and I'd like to have a floor where we all have our own rooms with our radiators to sit and, you know, stay warm next to, and then all our scrapbooks and memories of our lives, and then some communal areas where I can bump into Linda occasionally.
Occasionally. That sounds fine, doesn't it?
It's company.
I'll be your carer.
I don't want Linda as my carer.
No, you two are not in the mansion, OK? Just to clarify that. Still to come, Jane's got a lesson in the history behind some of our favourite sayings a little bit later, including who Gordon Bennett actually is. And in a few minutes, Toby Anstis tells us about discovering his roots after realising he was adopted. A very emotional story from Toby right after this. Welcome back to your Wednesday's Loose Women alongside me, Christine Lampard. It's Linda Robson, Jane Moore and Janet Street Porter. Coming up, would you go to the loo in front of your family, or are communal loos a flash in the pan? Yep, we're actually talking toilets. After a house in America went on sale with 4 toilets in a row in the bathroom. And we'll be looking into the origins of some of our favourite sayings later as well. So please get in touch if you have one particular little odd one and let us know what it is. Now, presenter and Heart Radio DJ Toby Anstis has been a regular on our screens for over 30 years, since starting out in CBBC's Broom Cupboard. And away from the camera, he's been exploring his own story after he and his twin sister Kate were adopted as little babies. Today, he joins us to tell us more about his emotional discoveries. Please welcome Toby Anstis.
Hi there, how are you?
Oh,
thanks for having me on.
It's so lovely to have you on. Toby.
Yeah, it's lovely to be here. Thanks for inviting me on.
An interesting story, because you didn't find out that you were adopted not properly until you were sort of 12 or 13.
Well, that's what I think. That was a moment when our parents sat me and my twin sister down
and
had
an
a chat
official
about. Yeah, they give us a few more details about our birth mum and our birth father, and how they met, and a bit about their families as well. I mean, there's so many questions when you're adopted, so many answers that you want, and we got a few then, and then it just takes. And I'm constantly asking questions of myself and my sister. I think when you're adopted, there's possibly a bit of a void that you never quite feel. You try to.
Before your adopted parents sat you down and talked to you, had you and your sister had suspicions? Had you looked at them and thought...
It's really funny, Janet, because I think that I was very aware that I looked very different to my parents, that they're wonderful people. Let me get that straight out there. They've given us the most wonderful childhood and brought us up beautifully, but we look so different, very different to our older brother.
Yeah.
And all our interests and because you imagine, because they're bringing completely different genes into the household, and we all our interests and our kind of personalities and it also was so different that I think I just felt different. My brother would be off, doing stuff with the Scouts, and I'd be off, wanting to go to like discos and stuff and parties and everything else. And haven't stopped. No, so I was very aware of being different, and I think that is one underlying thing that a lot of adopted people that I've spoken to feel, is that you just feel a little bit different, and that's one thing that you never quite get away from. So I think, yes, before we were even told.
Yeah, because you had a twin sister as well.
Got a twin sister, Kate, yeah.
And so you must have been really close to her.
Yeah, well, we are, and I mean, we've been a security blanket for each other.
That's quite a unique thing, isn't it? That you were adopted together, so you kind of go through the experience and the emotions of it together.
Well, yeah, I mean, the amount of times we've just had to give each other a big hug, or, there might be a day when Kate's feeling down about something. It's really odd, because she called up the other day and said, because she's got 3 wonderful kids, a wonderful husband, but she said, Toby, I'm just feeling a little bit lonely today. And I don't know why, because I'm not. I've got all the kids here.
Yeah.
But sometimes those little things come up, and anyone can feel lonely. But I think when you're adopted, there are certain things that are arguably magnified. They're a bit heightened because of the adoption. And sometimes loneliness is one of those things, because all your life, you try to search for your identity and your authentic self. And until you get to that point, you can't really love yourself.
Well, don't you
can't be
worry.
Completely comfortable.
When you found out you were adopted, wasn't your first feeling, what's wrong with me, that my real mother didn't want me? Yeah,
but I think sadly at school there was a bit of bullying going on, so I kind of felt that anyway. You were made to feel different and not quite the same as everybody else. And so, yeah, I think at that point, when you get... kids at school can be pretty... Without really knowing it, can be fairly intimidating and quite nasty. I think then I felt like I wasn't quite normal.
Yeah. You mentioned at the beginning there your parents, because I like to call them your parents rather than your adoptive parents.
Yes,
because I think parents is the thing you earn. Did you... a lot of people will say that they did, a lot of adopted people. Did you feel a sense of guilt when you wanted to trace your origins, if you like?
Yeah, that's a good... Yes. But our parents were so supportive. From as long as I can remember, they always said, look, if you want to go on that journey, we're right there for you, and we'll give you all the support and the love. But that still comes with a little bit of guilt, because you feel like you're, I don't know, turning your back on them. I made the point of saying to them, look, when we go on this journey, Mum and Dad, we in no way want to find new parents. That's not what this is about.
Yeah. No.
It's much more about there are questions you want answered. But they were wonderfully supportive of all of that. So it was great.
And how did you feel when you actually met your birth mum?
It was the weirdest...
Was it?
The weirdest moment. Talk about giving each other hugs to get yourself through. That was one.
Yeah.
Actually, we were at my sister's flat, and we'd had this date set up where our birth mum and her husband, we would meet up for the first time. And my brother-in-law, Kate's husband, I think, had looked out the window and said, I think she's coming, I think that's her. And I said to Kate, quick, let's jump, let's go. The kitchen window was open, and I said, quick, let's go. We gave each other the biggest hug, and it was the most peculiar day, as you can imagine, because what do you say?
Exactly.
Who gets the conversation started? How far do you go? How much do you talk about?
And the expectation as well, and sometimes that can end up being a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it was... I felt really odd at the end of that day, because we messed up. We went to a pub, and that's the weirdest thing, when you're just at a pub where you normally be with friends or family, and you're with your birth mum.
A stranger.
Lovely as she was, but it was still a bit stilted.
Yeah.
It went to go with the conversation. It felt... At the end of the day, I felt emotionally drained, and there's a sort of bit of... I felt a bit angry as well, if that's
Well,
an emotion you're allowed to feel.
Of course.
Just,
I can see why you felt angry.
Yeah.
But at the end of it all, and I know you traced your birth father as well, at the end of the whole experience, you ticked the box, you met them, you connected with them. But in the long term, what did it do to you mentally? Did it make you feel complete? Does it? I don't know what I'm trying to say. Do you think, on balance, it was worth it?
Was there a void and did you fill it?
Yeah.
I don't think... Well, it's interesting because I've had conversations with people, and me and Kate have talked about it. I think that we would have felt worse had we not done it. I think that curiosity just becomes too much.
Yeah.
So we had to do that journey. But there's a bit of me that sometimes think, I wish we hadn't. Because it does stir up an awful lot that you've then got to deal with.
And he's still in
But then
touch
you either
with
deal with that or you deal with the curiosity of never doing it,
Yeah.
wandering all the time.
If you look at the... I mean, we haven't got much time now, but if you look at it, your mother was 17...
Yeah.
Had twins. I mean, if you just put yourself in that position, and then your dad didn't even know she was pregnant.
No, she had no idea. No, sorry, he didn't. No, he didn't. Well, she...
The first he knew was when 2 adult children turned up.
Yeah. I mean, we hired an investigator to find our birth mum, and it didn't take very long, as it doesn't with the internet and stuff. You can do things, you can trace people. But it didn't take long, and I remember I was actually here in this building quite early on in my career. I was on telly one afternoon, and they said, "Oh, your sister really needs to talk to you." And I said, "Right, OK, well, I haven't got very much time." So I went into the room, took the call, and she said, in tears, "Oh, my God, they found our birth mum." I went, "Kate, can I talk to you later? I've got to introduce Newsround." But it was not to trivialise it at all.
Yeah,
but that was quite a moment, I've got to be honest. Yeah, but that's, yeah.
It's all... Well, Toby, I know that you are the face of Adoption UK's new programme, the Chance to Thrive, and I know it's clearly means so much to you, and to get the conversation going about adoption, actually, and what people can do to help out there.
Well, definitely. We bought this... I was working with Adoption UK at the end of last year, and there's a lovely book that's come out called Bravely Being Me, which is putting out very positive stories. People that you know, Dara O'Brien, who was adopted, lovely Lorraine Pascal, and myself, and various other people who've got really positive stories to give adoption a positive spin. Doesn't always get that.
Yeah.
But and then there's a great initiative that Tees Valley have just launched this week, and they've basically made a video, and they've got some adopted children on there talking about their experiences of being adopted.
Yeah.
And they've been really open and honest and sometimes emotional on those interviews. And they're going to show that in classrooms and to teachers in schools in the North East.
Exactly.
Just to help people understand what adopted kids go through on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah,
and hopefully that will get into the national curriculum. That's the hope. They can replicate that throughout the UK.
Fantastic.
I mean, I'll support as much as possible.
Well, thank you so much. It's such no matter how many times you talk about it, I'm guessing it constantly stirs up emotion. So thank you very much for sharing
actually.
it. Well, that's good.
I could talk all day about it.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
That's a
Toby.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Coming up after the break, we're talking about the surprising stories behind some of our favourite phrases. So, do you know the meaning behind the phrase "hitting the hay"? Do you, Toby? Hitting the hay. Do you know that? What it means? No, we know he looks completely and utterly. Hitting the, yes. From having to physically hit the hay to make it soft to sleep on in days gone by, or is it B, from when people would drunkenly fall in the haystack on the way back from the inn? Or is it C, boiling hay to make a nighttime toddy? Find out the answer right after this.
On Friday, Downton Abbey's Elizabeth Mcgovern will grace us with her presence to reveal the secrets and scandals we can expect from Downton's return to the big screen, and how she's bringing all her Grantham glamour to the stage for an exciting new role. Elizabeth Mcgovern, Friday at 12:30 on Loose Women.
Hello again, welcome back. Now, before the break, we quizzed you on the meaning behind the phrase "hitting the hay." Jane has the answer.
Right, well, the Americans claim it was their phrase from the early 1900s, but when I went round Anne Hathaway's cottage, the guide told me that in the old days, because they were poor and they couldn't afford beds, the kids slept on sacks of hay. So during the day, it was a bit cold or whatever, it would sort of solidify. So before they went to bed, they used to punch it to soften it up to make it sort of nicer to sleep on. Hitting the hay.
It was, in fact, physically, actually hitting the hay.
Physically hitting the hay.
That's where it comes. Well, we're going to be delving into some other favourite sayings in just a minute. Sadly, there's no prize if you did get that right, but there is a prize if you enter the competition. Shan Welby has all the info.
There's an incredible £96,000 in cash to be won to spend on anything you'd like.
When we won our competition, it was 85,000 and a Mercedes. I just felt lucky, maybe, and just kept texting. We were just shocked, weren't we? We got the phone call, and it's still in shock now. You just never think you're going to win, it's going to happen to you. And then it did.
Yeah, just have a nice family holiday.
I think it's needed, isn't it, after the last couple of years? So, yeah, looking forward to going on holiday.
But remember, lines close on Friday. For another chance to win £96,000 in cash, text WIN to 86060. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Go to the website, entries cost £2. Call 09068 786060. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and phone number to DY50 PO Box 7558 Derby DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday the 28th of January at 3 p.m. Good luck.
Good luck. Now, a new survey has revealed the phrases and sayings in danger of becoming extinct, with the majority of 18 to 50-year-olds thinking they're a load of old codswallop, if they even know what that means. So let's see if you all know the meaning behind the top 5 misunderstood phrases, OK? I haven't heard this one. Pearls before swine.
No, not a clue.
No, not either.
You know the meaning, but what's interesting is the origin. They're quite different, aren't they?
Well, you've gone all complicated. Pearls before swine. Let's stick to the meaning for now. If someone is casting pearls before swine, they are wasting their time by offering something that is valuable or helpful to someone who does not appreciate it. That now makes absolute sense to me.
Bit like Prime Minister's questions, then.
Just a bit, yeah. I know this one. Nail your colours to the mast.
No. Yeah, well, when I worked at the BBC, there's another version of that, which the men used to say, I'm going to put my on the table at this point.
Right, it wasn't their mast.
No.
That is to state your opinions or beliefs about something clearly and publicly. Well, this is a posh thing to me. They say, pip, pip.
Yeah,
pip, pip.
like toodle pip.
That'd be like on a horse,
Buck up,
wouldn't it?
yeah.
Like, pip, pip.
Just,
and
a way of saying goodbye.
Oh, is it?
Pip, pip.
Pip, pip.
No.
It's not very you, Linda. Or me, don't worry. Know your onions. You know that one.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
Makes you cry, no?
Oh, know your stuff. Know your stuff.
Yeah, to know a great deal about a subject or to be knowledgeable. Nod's as good as a wink. Linda, you keep looking at me.
Not as good as a wink. What does that mean?
It means that it is not necessary to explain something further because you understand what someone has already told you.
Yeah, well,
directly.
in the case of Linda, say it all over again.
Thank you. Thank you, Janet.
I think it's a real shame that some of these phrases are dying out because actually when you look into it's like part of history as to where they came from, and it sometimes sort of transports you right back. So I was looking up, so Janet and I are freelance journalists, are we not? And freelance is from free lance, and it dates back to soldiers who fought for anyone who would hire them, a bit like us.
Yeah.
Because they were a free lance, as in sword.
Oh,
Yes.
right.
So that's where freelance comes from.
Yes.
Which
the
I thought
pen
was
is mightier than the sword, of course.
Indeed.
Indeed. Found you another
Very
phrase.
Deep, very deep. Humble pie comes from umble, the old word of umble, which means intestines. So all the aristocracy would get the posh bits of an animal, you know, all the edible bits, and the oi polloi would get the umbles.
Of course, the umbles are really trendy at the moment because I went to a restaurant on Monday night where intestines and bits were on the menu. It couldn't have been trendier.
Dropping a clanger comes from the Latin clangor, which means to drop dropping something resoundingly loud. Now, Gordon Bennett...
Yeah, who is Gordon Bennett?
So it was James Gordon Bennett Jr. He was an international playboy in the 19th century.
Oh.
There he is. Oh, yeah, he looks a bit of a dandy. And it's actually, he was known for driving fast cars and causing great surprise. It's a substitution for gore blimey.
Oh,
and of
right.
course, that is like the sanitised version of God blind me, which used to be regarded as blasphemy.
Oh. Well, we've got some stuff here on the laptop. One is happy as Larry. Who was Larry and why was he so happy?
Exactly.
Who knows?
Was it Larry Grayson?
Might have been.
Frank's hairdresser is called Larry King, and he's the happiest man I've ever
Oh, is
met.
he?
We just say he's as happy as
There's
Larry.
only happy
yeah,
Larrys.
Larry's
Right,
always
were you
happy.
born in a field, meaning you never shut the door? Also, it's like Blackpool illuminations in here, meaning you've got too many lights on.
Yeah.
That's in my house. I always say to my grandson, get up the wooden hill, which means get up the stairs.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And all fur and no knickers.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard that one before, have you?
Yeah,
All fur
that's
and no
people who
knickers.
wear, you know, really swanky clothes.
Yeah. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, especially not your mouth.
That's because you can tell a horse's teeth by its age by its teeth.
Let's not go down the teeth route.
Right, OK, now you might remember us. Weird transition into toilets now, because a little while ago we spoke about Meghan Trainor's double loo, right? We all had an opinion on that. Well, now things have just literally gone down the pan, another saying for you. A house has gone on sale in America, boasting not 1, 2, not even 3, but 4 toilets next to each other in the bathroom. Is that a comfortable room for you? Would you be up for that? Does it feel like a nice content bathroom?
I've got 4 toilets in my house, but they're all on different floors.
That's allowed.
But I never shut a door, so the door's always open. So if I'm on the loo, the kids are in and out, because I learned early on in my life that if you lock the door, you've got to get off the toilet then to go and open the door and that.
So if you were to, say, go with the grandkids, needed to go for a quick pee-pee and you were in there, just like that bathroom, that would work for you?
Yeah. With 2 toilets, that would, but definitely not 4. Why would you need 4 toilets in
Well,
one
maybe
room?
the house is owned by people who've had a multiple birth, like 4 kids at once.
Oh, could be, Janet. I
Yeah,
never
that
thought of
was
that.
our Detective Inspector, Street Porter, worked that out, that maybe they've got 4 small children. But I have got a toilet with walls that don't go up to the ceiling, but it's in my office, and that's how I wanted it, because there's only me in that bit of the house. And quite honestly, if I put the walls up to the ceiling, it wouldn't look right. But the builders thought it was a bit weird. But they went, someone can hear you if you're on the loo. And I went, that person will be me.
But the loo, should it not be a sacred place that you're allowed just a few minutes to yourself,
Well,
just
you'd
to
hope so,
compose
wouldn't you?
yourself?
They look like the loos in my primary school, except that they have, like, partitions
Oh, well, yeah.
between it.
Those
It
loos
is
are
a
always
ludicrous
down near the
idea.
wall.
I remember we had a bucket. We had a 4-storey house. We in the bucket.
Can
and then take
we
it down.
not close the show with Linda
All right,
flaunting
all
her
right,
working
all
class
right.
credentials yet again? We've all been there. We've all had our
proud of
outside.
it, love, proud of it.
Linda, we've all got our outside toilet stories.
We have, yeah.
It goes back to the loose mansion, and you two will not be living in it together, poor loose or not. That is all we've got time for. Thank you very much for your company today. We will be back tomorrow, 12:30, with the usual loose winning shenanigans. Until then, have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.